ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Brought to you by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. Local then, local now. Member FDIC.
It is Tuesday, February 2nd. Happy Groundhog's Day. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Do you have like Groundhog Day parties? Do you do that? Do you gather by the rodent and celebrate? I'm not that guy. All I know is one of them says it's going to be cold, one of them says it isn't going to be, and I'm not cool with that. But welcome in to the Tuesday edition, presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. We take your phone calls, always on the White Claw phone line at 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. White Claw Hard Seltzer, made pure. You know, I'm going to be quite honest with you. 2021 hasn't been exactly great. It hasn't been the relief we've needed from 2020. Not just yet. I mean, sure, you got a new head football coach, so that's making everyone happy, Coach Huff. And tomorrow he's going to have a presser, sort of a, here's what I've done for recruiting, and here are my close new best friends. Here's my staff. We're going to have that for you. 5 o'clock tomorrow right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So I've got that to look forward to with you. I don't know how long this thing's going to go, but we're going to give Coach the hour if he needs it. For those of you who maybe can't live stream it tomorrow, you're going to be in the car, you're going to be somewhere where you don't have access to a computer. However, you usually get this stuff. If you can't catch it tomorrow through those means, we've got you covered. So don't worry about it. We're going to live stream it for you as well. So we'll go on the air exactly at 5 o'clock, and if they start right at 5, we'll go right into it. If they don't, we'll hang for a few minutes, and then we will get into it. So that's coming up tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that. We're going to find out everything that's happening with the coaching staff officially. Worst kept secret is the coaching staff changes at Marshall University. Worst kept secret ever, pretty much. So that's tomorrow. But other than that, what's been really the bright spot here of 2021 for you so far? It's the same miserable stuff, right? Well, no, it's gotten better today. For a lot of fans, it has gotten better. It's as if manna fell from heaven for a lot of people. EA Sports, Electronic Arts, coming back to college football. The football game's coming back. You remember, if you're someone who plays on your Xbox, your PlayStation, you remember every year the annual treat that it was to get the brand new edition of then NCAA football. It was before that, I remember it was like Bill Walsh football. Anybody go back that far? Is it just me? It's coming back. It's going to be renamed. First of all, it's going to be called EA Sports College Football. There are reasons for all this, and I'll outline it. So first of all, we're going to get our college football game back. EA Sports has heard the cries of fans everywhere who's played this thing. And I'm not talking just kids. I mean, young, old. If you have access to a gaming system, you play this thing. This was like an annual treat for you. It was fun. I enjoyed it more than Madden. To be quite honest, if you ever have played Madden and college football, college was better. Madden might have sold more. College was always better because, of course, there was always that thrill. I mean, when I was younger, I would get the game when it came out. I remember one time getting the game, and there were people lined up for it. Well, wait a minute. Are you lining up for this? That was then. I'm not lining up for anything now. No. I lined up for a phone one time. I did it. I can say I did it. I'm not doing that again. I'm not lining up for much of anything right now, ever. But this thing's coming back. And so EA Sports College Football is happening. And that means we get a 4K resolution representation of Joan C. Edwards Stadium. And that's going to be it, because we're not going to see the digital version of Coach Huff. That's not happening. We're not going to see the digital representation of any Marshall player. That's not happening as well. And this thing's not coming out this year. So don't expect Christmas time you're going to be getting the new college football game or midsummer. That's not happening. It's coming. It's just not coming this year. How this happened was EA Sports hooked up with Collegiate Licensing Company, CLC. Collegiate Licensing Company. Remember that name, CLC. So You get the license from CLC, so now you got all the FBS schools. You've got the schools, the traditions, the uniforms, the playbooks, all that stuff. Everything that gets licensed. You got all of that. So that's step one to make this thing a reality. So now it's going to feel like college football again, right? That's the hope. That's the dream. That when you fire it up and you turn it on and you select that your school's Marshall, that's your favorite school, you got Joan C. Edwards Stadium there, you got the Thundering Herd, you got Marco on the sideline, Kelly Green uniforms, your team's playing, ready to go. It's an authentic schedule. You got EKU there. You got all the schools that you want to play. You can play anybody you want to. If they're in the game, you can play them. So I was teasing our engineer today. I told him he's a big UK fan. I said, look, I'm going to get the game. I'm going to go into Lexington, and I'm going to beat your Wildcats every single time. And, you know, I'm not going to get things fixed now because the engineer's ticked at me, but that's I'll deal with that. No, this is fun. This is really fun. I mean, it's a fun story to talk about today because, you know, a lot of people grew up with this. This was their game. I mean, you hear kids talk about 2K now, and when they say 2K, they're not talking baseball or any other things. They're talking 2K. They're talking NBA. And anecdotal as it may seem, why is the NBA prospering? Why are more people gravitating towards the NBA? I mean, because the kids eat up this stuff. They're playing, and I'm not saying college football is going to get that bump. I think the game is getting the bump because of college football, not the other way around. But still, you have a lot of people excited about this. So you're going to get all the authenticness of it according to EA Sports with the CLC license. And there's not going to be rosters. Here's the thing. This is going to be the one thing that probably helps bring this back and maybe disappoints fans for right now anyway. The rosters are not happening. The rosters will not include names, images, or likenesses of real college players because current NCAA rules prohibit athletes from selling their NIL rights while in college. And so the rules are still being changed, discussed, all of that. However, EA is moving forward as if, okay, we're going to move forward. We're going to make this game. But we're not going to have the problems of old. We're not going to have anything on the game in the roster that you can point and say, hey, that's me. I want my share. Those are my stats, even though these are arbitrary stats. Yeah, my rating, my player rating. These are my numbers. None of that's going to be in the game. So you don't have to worry about at least this thing being shot down. I'm sure there will be attempts, honestly. Somebody's going to shoot this thing and see if it can graze it or get it. Somebody's going to put their hand out. And I get it, I understand. But at the same time, it's coming back, and EA sounds like, okay, we'll down the road when we can, we'll make those happen. We'll work on those. We'll deal with that, do it the right way. But right now, there's no clear-cut path to put likenesses. I mean, sure, that's the fun. When we were kids or when we were younger or adults, I mean, let's be honest, I'm not going to typecast here. How fun was it, like on the original PlayStation? I think it was original PlayStation. You get the NCAA game, and you take Marshall, because Marshall was in that game. You take Marshall, and you would have Randy Moss's, and they had Randy's stats, what they thought they were. So he basically was like the best wide receiver on the game, or one of them. And you just throw that bomb, and I would throw it out on the right side and just chuck it. And Randy would catch it, and I'd score almost every time. It was silly, insane. It was fun. And you can't have that stuff now. I mean, sure, you got to kind of come up with a balance too. Because, again, kids are going to be playing this. Adults are going to be playing this. What am I talking about? People that are going to be playing this, they want to feel like, okay, when I pick up the controller, I've got Marshall. Here's what Marshall feels like. And it's going to be hard to do that because if Marshall's too good, you're going to, whoa. Well, that's cool. Marshall fans are not going to complain. But everyone else is going to go, wait a minute, Marshall's overrated. I mean, sort of, you got to have that balance, right? So the rosters were really cool. And I don't know if they're going to have the rosters be able to be edited. And that's another thing. That was another bone of contention there. That was another place where people picked it apart because What's to say I can go in and I can modify the rosters. I can go in and edit the rosters. I can make my roster, and people have been doing this for years. Because the last game that came out in 2013. It was NCAA 14. And there's a community that still plays that game. And they have taken to edit rosters every year to match current rosters. So there are fans who play that game with as close to accurate rosters as they can manage putting together, because you could upload rosters, you could edit rosters, and you could upload it so you could make your team. Now, I don't know if that's going to be something you can do with this game. However, they're going to look at that stuff, because that was the big thing. It was not the game, because they had the licensing, they had all the images and everything. It was, okay, you're making a game about college football, and the rosters conveniently look awful close to what the team looks like roster-wise, and the statistics and the values there. So that was something that was widely debated. But there are going to be rules change right now, and so you could have some sort of group licensing in the future for the game. That would be something that kids aren't going to make a fortune off this. Let's just be honest. Kids aren't going to make a fortune off of this. It's sort of like in the music industry, your song gets played, you get a percentage of that. You get some money for that, but how much you're really getting? I mean, over time, yeah, but you're not going to make money hand over fist here. So there could be some group licensing here in the future. It's just not going to be present. And after the announcement, Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy put out a statement. He said that he's going to introduce legislation to, quote, help players finally profit off their talent so they don't need to face continued mistreatment like this. Now, I don't know what mistreatment like this means in his mind. I think what EA is trying to do is put this product out there, reestablish the product, which college football fans adored. I'm sure not all of you played this game or enjoyed this game, but I'm going to be quite honest. Twitter was quite, and again, I know it's all anecdotal right now. Twitter was a buzz today. There were a lot of people maybe who haven't played this thing since they were a young child, and now they're excited to be able to play this game here in a few years. It's pretty cool what they're going to be able to do here. So it's not coming out. This isn't something they just announce and say, okay, we're going to put this out here in a few months, but this is going to be a product that's coming out down the line. You know how these football games are. They'll turn these things around in a year or so. So we're talking probably next year at the latest, a year after that. You're going to have a fresh copy of NCAA football, but it's going to be rebranded now. Again, it's going to be EA Sports College Football. I just hope it's accurate. I mean, I hope it's accurate for every detail. I mean, let me ask you this. If it's got the license, does that mean I'm going to have like music, band, all that stuff? Yeah, I'm kind of curious what the scope of the game's going to be, because that was a fun. That was seriously the fun. And something that was really cool about it, at least before they discontinued it, you could, on the game, you could customize the music. So after a touchdown, if you had like an MP3, you could upload an MP3 to your console, and whatever the school's touchdown song is, if you had it, you could set up, if you really wanted to get in there and dial it up and play with it, you could come up with all the authentic sounds. So whatever your school does, if there's different songs they played or during situational third down or something, fourth down, whatever, you could really customize it. So I'm kind of curious what this is going to look like and what it needs to be able to get to market without stepping on anyone's toes, having lawsuits, because that was basically one of the things that really brought this down was, okay, NCAA, EA, everyone's profiting off these kids except the kids. And I completely understand that is a valid question. How are these kids getting compensated? It's very valid because that was the hook of this. The sell was you're playing. If it's in the game, it's in the game. That was a trademark of EA Sports. That was something they pushed for a long time. If it's in the game, it's in the game. But at the same time, I think this is really good. The EA college football moniker, not using NCAA, but EA Sports college football, that's going to help. And you're going to have all the FBS Division I schools. You're going to have, of course, it'll be licensed, so you'll have the road to the college football playoff, the college football championship, and they're going to have everything in the game that is with the license. So, I mean, you're going to have the authentic bowls. I'm sure the Rose Bowl, you're going to have everything. And you're going to have a digital representation, I'm sure. Because if you don't want to have generic school, right? Because then you're going to tick off somebody. You're going to put a school in. You're going to make sure that everything is authentic. Everything is up to spec. So you're going to have, as close as you possibly can, authentic Jones C. Edwards Stadium, right? You're going to go in there and you're going to feel like, oh, okay, yeah. And I'm quite sure they're not starting from scratch here. They've got a pretty good idea to how to get this thing ramping up. But that's what's happening today in the college football world. It's a video game that a lot of people have missed. And, of course, I was having some fun with it today on Twitter. We get a new coach for Marshall. You get a new coach, Coach Huff. He takes the job, and guess what? He takes the job, and there's a new video game. So I had some fun with Coach Huff today, and a lot of you had some fun with me on it. Coach Huff, I thanked him for making this happen. I'm sure he got a kick out of it today. He's pretty active on Twitter. If you haven't followed him yet, he's on Twitter at Coach Huff. He's pretty active when he's not doing process stuff, moving to be a champion, all that stuff. Taevion Kinsey, when we continue, we'll have some fun talking basketball. Marshall's playing a game this week. Marshall's playing 2 games this week. We'll get into it when we continue. We'll hear from Taevion Kinsey. Had a chance to catch up with him yesterday. I'll give you an opportunity to listen in on our conversation with the rest of the media on that call when we continue with today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank.
Our phone lines presented by White Claw, 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. That's the number to be a part of the White Claw phone lines. White Claw, hard seltzer, made pure. Welcome back to the February 2nd edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Hopefully we're not going to have any worries about basketball this week. It sounds like everything's under control, and Marshall's going to take on Old Dominion. That's coming up this weekend, Friday and Saturday, both contests right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Now, getting ready for the game, I had a chance to join in on the Zoom call yesterday with Taevion Kinsey, and that was one of my first questions. I asked Taevion just the fact that at this point we're going to have 14 days of practice and all of that just to get ready for Old Dominion. Sure, you were trying to get ready for FAU, but you had to change that. And now you have plenty of practice time here getting set for Old Dominion. And we start there with Taevion Kinsey from his Zoom call.
We're just glad that hopefully this week we can get back to playing this weekend. So.
How are you keeping yourself going knowing that anytime a game can be yanked? I mean, that's got to be a lot of mental fortitude on your part just to be ready to get ready for the next one.
Definitely. It's definitely sometimes challenging, but I mean, we're in school now, so I really look at it as like if I'm not playing basketball, I could spend more time getting ahead on schoolwork, things like that. On the basketball standpoint of it, if when we shut down and things happen, just being mentally prepared. If you prepared yourself at the beginning when the season started, knowing that there was going to be some stopping and a lot of shutdowns may occur. If you already mentally prepared yourself for that, then it really doesn't really bother you as much. It's more so frustrating that you don't get to play more than like, losing your mind or losing your focus of anything. But our gym is always open to us, and the managers are willing to come in and work out with us and rebound while we shoot. So that keeps us going a little bit.
Do you know much about ODU? Have you had a chance to really maybe get into them a little bit, try to figure out how to play them this week?
We haven't watched film on them. We'll start watching film on them now. We know they play a zone. We know their zone is kind of weird. They disguise it sometimes. They might be in a 2-3. They might be in a 3-2. It might be in a 1-3-1. Sometimes they can extend their zone into like the half. They put a big guy, a big athletic like wing at the top to guard, and they kind of guard it weird in the corners. They try to make you like on the wings, if they're in their 3-2 or their 1-3-1, the wing guys make it hard for you to get to the corner, but they don't go and guard the corner. They have the bottom guy run from corner to corner, whichever one. So I know Coach Dan will come up with some type of scheme or for us to beat it. But I mean, I think it's the same team as last year. They might have a couple new guys we haven't seen yet. We'll see them on film today. We know they're a very, very good team. They've always been a good team. Since I've been here, they have. And I'm pretty sure before that, they've been a good team. So it should be a good matchup this week. They're fresh out of quarantine, so I don't know if they'll be tired or so. But I'm pretty sure they'll be prepared to play us this weekend.
Hey, Tay, when you look at go ahead, Grant.
How difficult is that to prepare for a team? I don't think ODU's played in the last. I think it's been 3 weeks since they played. How difficult is that to assess, film and tendencies and things like that, given that they really haven't played any games as of late?
I think whatever film we get, we're just gonna have to go off of that. And we have some veteran guys who played against their guys. We'll look at the scouting report. And it's kind of like reading your scouting report more so because that's what we really have to work off of and whatever game film we have. And I think our older guys, such as myself and like the senior guys and who have played against them before, if they have like some of the same players, then we'll know, what they're capable of doing, if they gotten better at this area or what. But at the end of the day, I always tell my guys, it's basketball. Whenever we're like, can't get through a play, whenever defense breaks down, whenever they run a play that we don't know, your basketball IQ has to set in. It's just a game of basketball. So you got to figure out a way to outsmart a team, be better than a team, whatever type of, help we can get from the film or whatever. But if we don't have any, then it's just got to be a basketball game. Who wants it more? So.
Hey, by the time you guys get back home, assuming you play middle next week, it's going to be like 50 days and you played 2 home games. How frustrating is that? And on the other side of it, has it made you guys mentally tougher?
Yeah, I was going to say that. More so make us mentally tougher. That's how I look at it. I know a lot of our fans want to see us play at home. I know, our coach wants to play at home. We want to play at home as well. It feels not right to not be able to get any home games in this year, but we got to take it as we're road warriors. We got to go on the road and we got to win. So definitely, I feel like if you could beat a team at their house and then now this year playing back to back, waking up the next day and still being there, having to beat a team twice at their house, it's more so challenging, but it's making us better. It's definitely making us stronger mentally. And being able to go into hostile environments and play in areas with no crowd, play in areas with some crowd, play in areas where like Western, where they didn't even allow us a lot because they wanted more so of their fans in there. Like running into things and situations like that, I think it's mentally preparing us for like when we all have to go and we have to go into the tournament. If they do a bubble, whatever they may do, we'll be ready because we've always been on the road. We haven't played as many, home games. So.
Say with your all's team, you're in the top 10 in 3 different categories in CUSA. Jared is in top 20 in 3 different categories, and Andrew's in the top 20 in 3 different categories. How do you all speak on your success and what goes into you all being such versatile players, within Dan's system?
Coach Dan and all the other coaches, Coach Jackson, Coach Klein, they make sure we hone in and we don't get a big head. Coach Corny is definitely Coach Jackson. He's definitely been talking to me about keeping my head on straight, not feeding into where we're ranked or what accolades that I've been accomplishing during the seasons, or what mock draft or this or that is going on, just keeping our head down and working, and we don't want to lose focus. We have something that we're trying to accomplish here in the season. I think it's very good that we, are in the top 20 and top 10 and versatile in all areas, but I think that just shows that we're versatile. We have versatile guys, and we can get it done in all categories, and we can be the best in all categories. And I'm always think my guys are the best. I feel like Jared's the best defensive point guard in the country. Andrew, best rebounding point guard, and then offensive end. I don't really think it's a lot of guards I don't think it's a lot of teams that have three, like guys that can go off at any time, and if we're all clicking together, it'll be hard to stop us. So, just staying, level-headed, not too high, not too low, and making sure that we continue to work, extra work after practice, before practice, whenever we can get in here. Because like I said, we have to stay focused. I think it's great that we're doing that, because we've been getting shut down a lot. We haven't been playing at home. So you got to think we're top in this category, but we've been on the road doing this, like we've been going into other people's, territory doing this. So I think that speaks numbers, but it's pretty nice, but still got to work.
You look at here, obviously there was John and CJ, and you became that X factor option. Do you feel like Andrew's sort of taken that on this year, with you and Jared already solidified in your leadership roles, but he sort of stepped into that third X factor role for you all?
Oh, definitely. Oh, I'm Andrew's roommate on the when we're on away trips. I tell him all the time, we need your confidence. We need another leader. Everybody can be a leader, but Drew has definitely stepped up. I've always knew he had it. He comes in here every day. He works every single day. Like the first time I met Drew, he came in here and worked out. Like it was just, his work ethic is crazy. So, you come with that work ethic and you come with that drive and you put in that extra work, it'll show. And it's definitely showing. And I'm definitely proud of him. And I definitely hope that he continues to do this and, add that third X factor, as you say, with me and Jared being there. But sometimes I just look, especially like when we played in FIU and he had him a weekend, some of the shots he was hitting, I was just like, I felt like a fan, like sitting out. Like, I felt like, even though I was in the game, that I was watching and I was just like, this is crazy. Like some of these shots that he's hitting, he's definitely locked in. When that man gets locked in, it's hard to stop him. So.
Taevion, you just mentioned a moment ago about being road warriors. How does this team embrace that mentality?
I think it's kind of forced upon us. I mean, we got to embrace it. It's the only way that we've been able to, get games and play. So, I mean, if this is how we're going to get our games, everybody wants to play, so if this is how we're going to get to play, and it's like God is putting us out there to be like, you got to go play here, you got to go play there. We're not getting any home games. I think you got to embrace it. I think you just got to take it with a grain of salt. Like, I guess we are road warriors and we got to make our wins on the road. It's making us tougher. So I think buying into, we might not have a home game, but we're going to get a road game, and now let's go beat them at their house type situation. So I feel like I said, just buying into that and just, everybody on the same page, as in we got to go on the road. And that's just how it's going to be.
One benefit of that, Taevion, is come tournament time, it's going to be second half to you. It's not going to be awkward or anything.
Come tournament time, all of our guys should be ready. It should be no excuse. It should be no excuse of why we can't go wherever we're going to go and wherever the tournament is going to be and play at our top, because we've had to do it all year. We had to go places like our strength of schedule is crazy on the road. Like we've played Western on the road at their house. We've played La Tech, who hasn't really lost a game at home in so many games, and we won there. Got to go to ODU, which is a tough environment. I went there as a freshman. We went on a game-winning shot. Areas like that is just, you got to go in there with. Well, last year we went to UAB. We don't get to play them this year, but I'm pretty sure we might have to go on the road and play somewhere else. So being able to have that already and then going into the tournament, we should be locked in and ready.
Taevion Kinsey, his thoughts from yesterday's Zoom call. When we continue, we'll get your thoughts in. You can join us by being a part of the White Claw phone lines, 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. White Claw, hard seltzer, made pure. More on the way. It's The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
We're taking Paul Swann everywhere. Download or subscribe to The Drive with Paul Swann on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We're presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. We appreciate you tuning in to today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Coming up tomorrow on the program, we're going to hear from Coach Huff. He's going to speak. He's doing a live press conference, 5 o'clock, so we're going to cede our time to Coach Huff tomorrow. So Coach Huff has the floor tomorrow. We'll come on the air 5 o'clock as we normally do, just a few minutes earlier than we normally do, but still, it's going to be the same setup. We're going to come on and set it up, and we're going to go to it as soon as they begin, and it's going to basically consist of Coach Huff talking about what he did do for signing day, what he's planning on doing, and taking a look at the staff he's assembled, give you a breakdown of the hirings and anything else he wants to talk about. That's coming up tomorrow. We'll go on the air just a few minutes earlier to get it all in, 5 o'clock here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it's smart on his part. You got a lot of kids coming back, a lot of players who are going to opt in and take their extra year that they're owed, they're deserving, because honestly, this is not a year that you want to end on. If you're a college football player and you end on this note, either you're moving on to the next journey of your life, you're going to shoot for the NFL, which again, that probably qualifies to the next journey of your life. So really, either you're not done with the journey here at Marshall or in college football, or you're ready to move on to the next journey, the next step. And for a few players opting out before the bowl game, ready to go to the next step. For a majority of kids coming back, they're going to take advantage of the opportunity that's presented to them. Honestly, if you can get an extra year in, get your education, further that, play some more, what harm is it going to do, right? I think it's a good move. But that puts some schools into a bind, because if you got recruits that are coming in and you got players who are coming back, your recruiting numbers are going to be off a little bit. I think probably the transition between coaches, you sort of reset that. Not too many people are going to ding coach, deserved or not, ding him for whatever happens this upcoming season on the recruiting front. I think it's a smart move. I don't think we're going to have to really worry about recruiting until 2022. He's already been on social media talking about, he's been talking to the kids in the 2022 class. So full steam ahead, bring in some fantastic recruits. That's what you're all looking for, right? You want to see some highly touted 4-5-star kids. You want to see the stars light up on the list, depending on what service you think is the best. That's coming in 2022. So tomorrow, we'll hear what he's talking about as far as what he did bring in, as far as his recruiting goals, and move ahead. Looking forward to talking about his staff. That's all coming up tomorrow. Again, right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We'll go on the air 5 o'clock. So that way you don't have to miss it. If you're in the car, like many of you are right now, you won't miss a thing. When we continue, we will wrap it up. Get your phone calls in, and Twitter as well, at Paul Swann, here on The Drive. ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank.
We're wrapping up today's edition of The Drive on this Tuesday, February 2nd. Paul Swann, your host, here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. All right, who's set for the Super Bowl? Got a few days. Look, I know the audience here. I know you're all going for Tampa Bay. I get it. I understand it. I'm with you on it 100%. Only reason is because it's not your love of Tom Brady or your hate of Tom Brady, the deciding factor here. It's not that. It's Byron Leftwich, and we all get that. We're all on board. We want Byron to get a Super Bowl ring. We want him to eventually be one of the newest head coaches in the NFL. We want him to lead his team to Super Bowl after Super Bowl. We want Byron to be super successful. I'm on board with that. And so I'll be probably rooting for Tampa Bay as well with you. I'm going to be on board with you. And, of course, if you root for Tampa Bay, and when Tampa Bay plays at home at Raymond James Stadium, you got the pirate ship, right? One of the best features in the NFL, an authentic pirate ship. I mean, that ship is authentic as it can be, right? Has cannons, fires the cannons when you score a touchdown. If you're Tampa Bay, you score a touchdown, fire the cannons. Guess what? Not happening. Not for the Super Bowl. NFL's not going to allow it. So when the Buccaneers score a touchdown, the cannons don't get to fire. Not going to be allowed. Because this is going to be a neutral field. This game is being played on a neutral field, even though it's the participating team's home field. First time this has ever happened in the NFL. The venue is also the home field of one of the participants. So, right, you get to stay in your own home. You get to stay in your own bed. You get to make the same drive you do every day. You get to probably use your same locker room, right? All that good stuff. Okay. The Buccaneers are considered the home team because the NFC is always the home team in odd number Super Bowls. So they get their own locker room. Oh, hey, that works out great, right? Okay. And the AFC is always the home team in the even number Super Bowls, but that only applies to jersey color. Everything else, though, no. No cannons. Everything on the field is going to be neutral. The cannons can go off in the pregame, but that's it. I don't know. Fire the cannons for every touchdown. That would have been my compromise. Like, look, fire Kansas City scores, fire the cannon. Tampa Bay scores, fire the cannon. That's fun. I know the NFL stands for No Fun League, but let's be serious here. Come on. Make that compromise. Let's fire the cannon for both teams. Let's have some fun. And it's how many stadiums have a pirate ship in it? Not many. That's the only thing I'm disappointed in. The cannons aren't going to be firing. That's what the Pirates need. The Pittsburgh Pirates. They need a pirate ship. Beautiful ballpark. Add a pirate ship. Just have it like right off over. Maybe put it on the river. Just put the pirate ship on the river, and every time the Pirates hit a home run, the radio call, cannonball coming. Fire the cannons. All right, thanks for tuning in to this. We've had fun today. This has actually been fun. I appreciate you guys sticking around and being a part of it with me every single day. You know who you are. I appreciate you. Back tomorrow, we will hear from Coach Huff. We will, if we have time, we will offer our commentary on what he said. We're going to go as long as Coach Huff goes. If he goes an hour and a half, we're going an hour and a half. If he goes 20 minutes, we'll take the rest of the show and talk about it. Whatever happens, you can hear Coach Huff's press conference tomorrow. It starts 5 o'clock. We'll have it for you right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.